Hey, from New Jersey, it's the SNL Nerds, the show where two comics from New Jersey nerd out about Saturday Night Live. I'm your co-host, Darren Patterson.
And I'm your co-host, John Trumbull.
Hey, John Trumbull, happy summer, sir.
Happy summer, Darren. You having a good time? You having a good summer? Are you ready for the summer? Are you ready for the CITs?
Yes, the birds and bees and the OPPs. Is that, you know me.
You know me. Yeah. I don't remember the lyrics to the Meatballs theme song. I just remember those two lines at the beginning, and then I remember the stuff Bill Murray did, which is really all anybody needs to remember from Meatballs.
Yeah, I mean, guys, go back into the archives, listen to our episode of Meatballs. It's pretty scattershot, that movie, but the stuff with Bill Murray is pretty pretty cool.
And I feel like, to bring it around to our topic of this week, I feel like the Bill Murray Chris Makepeace relationship in Meatballs was a definite influence on our movie for this week, which is The Way Back from 2013.
Dude, you read my mind. Yes.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about the Way Back. Movie came out July 5th, 2013, so 4th of July weekend. Written and directed by Nat Faxon and Jim Rash. And the same people that wrote, what was it, The Descendants.
Yes, won an Oscar for The Descendants.
Won an Oscar for The Descendants. And they also wrote and directed Downfall, which has Will Ferrell and Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
It was like a remake of a foreign film about the couple, and they're caught in an avalanche, and he abandons his wife, and it kind of makes them question their marriage, I think.
Yeah, I was really kind of pumped to see it. I wanted to see it, but then I saw all the reviews and not positive, I'll say. But I don't know. Maybe I'll check it out one day. But yeah, those reviews definitely kind of kept me at bay. But this movie, The Way Back, came out July 5th, had a budget of $5 million, made $26.9 million. So nice little chunk of change there.
You can do well when you keep the budget low. And yeah, this was, you find a nice resort town, you find a water park, and then you get going.
Absolutely.
This was my first time seeing this. Was this your first time checking this out?
I remember seeing this in the theaters. I definitely seen this movie before, and I remember enjoying it quite a bit. And I still enjoy it. I think it's a fun little movie. This one has it was written and directed by Nat Faxon and Jim Rash. For those who don't know, I mean, they're not household names, but if you're a comedy nerd, you've definitely know about Nat and Jim. You've seen them before.
Yeah, Nat. I mean, they're both actors as well as writers and directors. Jim Rash, best known as the Dean from Community, which show I'm a huge fan of.
Absolutely.
Nat Faxon was on this show I watched with Judy Greer. I think it was called something real simple, like Married, I think.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
but yeah,
Jenny Slate was in it too.
Yeah. Ooh, another SNL alum.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it.
Yeah, I mean, Nat Faxon, he's been around for a minute. He was an episode of Party Down. He was in he's on the show Loot with Maya Rudolph right now.
Who's in this movie?
He was in this movie. And yeah, he's just basically what.
I see Maya Rudolph is in this movie.
Yes, Maya Rudolph's in this movie. But yeah, both him and Jim Rash came up through the Groundling, so he's one of those improv guys that you just see kind of pop up in a comedy every now and again.
Yeah, and they both Nat Faxon and Jim Rash, they play small supporting roles in this movie. So yeah, it's fun. I enjoyed this movie. This was a movie I think I'd seen a trailer for ages ago, but it was one of those movies I'd never gotten around to seeing. So I was happy to finally have an excuse to watch it all the way through, because there's so many good actors in this. We got Steve Carell, we got Toni Collette, we got Allison Janney, we got Amanda Peet, Rob Corddry, Maya Rudolph, as we mentioned before, and a big one, Sam Rockwell.
Sammy Rocks, my boy.
Hello. Sam Rockwell, he's won an Oscar, but I still feel like he's kind of underrated as an actor, man.
Yeah, he's one of those actors. Everybody knows him and respects him as an actor, but yeah, I still feel like he's still I don't want to say he's not an A-list actor, but yeah, he is sort of seen as a bit of an underdog, I guess, even though everybody agrees.
Me, I would debate maybe putting him on the A list because I don't, he's not necessarily opening big blockbuster movies, and maybe that's not the sort of career he wants to have.
Yeah,
Maybe he's very happy at the level he's at, but he's not like huge movie star like George Clooney, Brad Pitt, or
yeah.
uh, or Robert Downey Jr. or something like
I'm
that.
not saying he's Brad Pitt. I'm not.
Right, right. But I mean, he's like every movie I've seen with Sam Rockwell. And he's done a lot of great movies. He's done Galaxy Quest. He did Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. He did
Oh,
Iron
love
Man
that movie.
2. He did Moon. He just basically kills it in everything I've seen him do, and I just get a kick out of him.
Yeah,
He's a great actor.
yeah. I mean, I think he really got to shine. I guess more people knew about him from what, Three Billboards
Yeah,
Outside.
that's what
I
he won
think.
the Oscar for, and I still
Yeah.
haven't seen that movie, and I want to see that movie. I don't see half the movies I want to see, even with this podcast.
One day we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, one day.
But yeah,
It's
like
tough.
yeah, but I agree. Like Sam Rockwell, he's a solid actor. Like every time I
Hmm.
see him in something, I'm usually pretty pleased.
Yeah, yeah, and
Absolutely.
yeah, I enjoy this. This is a good sort of summer coming of age type of movie. When I was watching, I was like, this would make a pretty good double feature with Adventureland, which
And
we've covered before.
yeah, it definitely had strong Adventureland vibes. It's like
Yeah,
the lead character, like this teenage kid who's like, little socially awkward and whatnot, and like
shy kid, and he's got
yeah,
some problems in his life. He's a young man by the name of Duncan. What was the name of the actor who played Duncan?
I believe Liam James, if I'm not
He was
mistaken.
very good. I liked him. I don't think I've seen him in anything before, but he did a very good job.
Yeah, yeah, no, he was good. He was good. But yeah, so we start off with so the main character is Liam James. Is the actor Liam James playing Duncan,
Yeah,
14-year-old kid, shy introvert, lives with his mom in Albany, whose mom's been sort of recently-ish divorced and
yeah,
is
like a
dating.
little over a year ago, and she's dating a new guy who's played by
Yes,
Steve Carell, and
yeah,
by the name of Trent. And it opens up, and he's riding in the very back of the station wagon, which is like sort of a hidden seat, and it was called the Way Back. Um, I could tell like that a lot of this movie was drawn from Jim Rash and Nat Faxon's childhoods,
mm,
because like even though it takes place in 2013, there are a lot of 80s references. Like they're driving this old station wagon with wood on the side. At one point, he's listening to REO Speedwagon's "I Can't Fight This Feeling Anymore" on his iPod, and I'm like, what kid is rocking out to the REO Speedwagon in
yeah.
2013?
I mean, I don't want to say no kid would listen to like oldies like that, but I mean
Yeah,
the odds of a kid listening to oldies like that is pretty rare.
right. I
Like,
mean, he'd be like listening to music, that he hears on the radio or on
yeah,
on streaming or whatever. He'd be
on
listening to, I don't know, Fallout Boy or whoever the big band was in
Fallout
2013.
Boy.
I don't
Oh,
know. That was the first
oh,
recent-ish band that came to mind.
oh, John. Even I know Fallout Boy is old. That's like a new band would
Well,
be
I'm
smart.
I'm trying to think 10 years back who the
Oh,
hot band was.
10 years way back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Fall Out Boy was like a big thing 10 years ago, right?
uh, I want to say they were like late 90s, early aughts.
That they go that far back? Okay, well,
I
whatever.
feel like, yeah. All
It,
right.
it was just a name I pulled out of the hat. So,
Okay. But yeah, but I agree with you. Like there is like even though this movie takes place in like the 2013 era, there
yeah.
definitely it definitely has like a 80s vibe to it. Like it's
Right.
trying to go for like a vibe of summers past, definitely for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and maybe it was just a budget thing because a part of me was thinking like, well, why didn't you just set this in the 80s if you're going to include this many 80s references? Because it's almost like the movie's in a time warp where it's 2013, but we're all the pop culture references are still things from the 80s because the movie's written by two middle-aged men. And
Yeah.
it's not really a criticism; it's just more of an observation. I was just like, oh, okay,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there honestly, yeah. Now that you mentioned, there's really no reason that this couldn't have taken place in the '80s. Like, there's nothing in it where like somebody texts somebody something crucial and it's a pivotal point in the movie or something like that. Like everything that they
yeah.
do in this movie, you honestly could have done in the '80s.
And it might make a couple plot points make more sense,
Ooh,
because like Duncan, our main character, he goes and he literally gets a summer job without telling anybody. And he's
Yeah,
like disappearing for the better part of a day, and then he comes back to the beach house at night, and his mother's like, where were you? And I don't think she ever says like, I was texting you all day, or you didn't answer your cell. And those would be logical things to say in 2013.
yeah. Wow, that's a great point. I didn't even
I
think
just
of
I
that.
just thought of that. I wasn't really thinking that when I was watching the movie, but
I didn't even think of that. That's a really good point.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but the movie starts. So we see Duncan, and like you said, he's in the way back in the station wagon. His mom is in the front asleep. Trent is driving, played by
Right.
Steve Carell. Who's Steve Carell? He's playing like against type here because, like, as we learn early, like very early in the movie, Trent's a bit of a dick.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the interesting thing about Steve Carell's career is he's done nothing but kind of play against. I don't know. I don't even want to say he's playing against type. He's playing against what we think his type is because he got really famous from The Office, and he's
Yeah,
playing like kind of a stooge of Michael Scott on that show. But he obviously prefers doing work like this because this is like the majority of his output since he's left that show.
yeah.
So
I mean,
he likes doing more thoughtful and some semi dramatic stuff, and he's got nominated for a few awards too. So
yeah, but I mean, I guess he's like more well known for playing like likable characters, like 40-Year-Old Virgin,
right,
or
right,
all the comedies he's been in, stuff like that.
yeah.
He's
Like
always
I mean,
like,
he's done broader stuff, but I feel like his heart is more in this type of thing, you know,
okay.
like this or Foxcatcher or whatever,
Oh right,
or
Foxcatcher.
Little Miss Sunshine, which I think he got nominated for an Oscar for.
Yeah, but even
Um,
Elizabeth Sunshine, he was like a little bit more likable. Here, he's like a
mhm.
straight up like a hole.
Yeah, because he starts he's waking Duncan up from a nap to have this conversation with him, which right off the bat that's kind of a dick move. Let people sleep.
Yes.
And then he's like, Duncan, why? I want you to rate yourself from 1 to 10. And Duncan's like, what? No, I don't want to do that. No. And he's like, no, rate yourself from 1 to 10. Rate yourself from 1 to 10. And finally, Duncan goes, I guess I'm a 6. And he's like, well, I think you're a 3. And it's like, wow.
I was like, what was the point of that, dude? What the fuck?
And apparently, I read on the IMDb trivia the opening of this movie. It was based on a conversation that Jim Rash had with his stepfather,
Oh,
which that sounds horrible. Sympathies to Jim Rash for having to put up with that.
what the fuck?
Yeah, it's the worst pep talk ever. And he's like, "Well, we're going to be at this beach house for the summer, so I want you to get that up to a 6.
Yeah,
I want you to boost your numbers." And it's the worst pep talk ever.
yeah. So like they're all on their way to his beach house in Cape Cod. Also, Trent's daughter is with them as well, Stephanie.
Right,
Um,
right.
and yeah, like that's the thing about Trent. Like he's kind of couching his shitty behavior as like, I guess, tough love type of thing, where it's like, hey, I
Yeah,
want you to be the best you can be, there, slugger. But he's just being a shithead.
right. Yeah, it's sort of couched in the language of, "Hey, I'm your mom's new boyfriend, and I want to be your buddy. I want to have a good relationship with you." But yeah, he kind of can't really disguise his inherent crabbiness.
Yeah,
So they get to the beach house in Cape Cod. We soon meet Allison Janney, who is his Trent's neighbor Betty, and she's a lot. She comes on very strong. She comes in very hot. She's a
yeah.
drinker. She's
Oh
probably
yes,
day drunk in the middle of the afternoon. She's got a teenage daughter, Susanna, and a son, Peter. Her son Peter has a lazy eye that Betty is constantly giving him grief about. She's like, "You should wear an eye patch because you freak people out with that lazy eye." So, you know, we're meeting all sorts of crappy parents.
yeah. All these adults are divorced. Go figure.
They're all divorced. They're all screwed up, and yeah, I mean, we find out exactly how and why they're all screwed up. And we got Toni Collette as Duncan's mom, Pam, and
Yeah.
yeah, she seems to kind of have her heart in the right place, but she's also got her own problems, and she's maybe not as great of a mom to her son as she could be. I think that's fair to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like, well, we learned that her and Trent have been together for years, so I guess she's like trying to sort of maybe have a little bit of fun with this newish guy and this
Right.
relationship, and like, I
And
guess, yeah.
Yeah, it's you get the feeling that it's like kind of her game plan for the summer. It's sort of like taking this potential family unit out for a test drive. Like,
Absolutely.
let's see how we all mesh together over the summer. And
Absolutely.
then, maybe we can get a little more serious. We can take the next step. We can move in together. We can get married or whatever.
Yeah.
That has to be in your head.
Exactly. This is like a test drive. Exactly. But
Yeah.
like everybody else in the family is kind of doing their own thing. I do like how Steph, Trent's daughter,
Hmm.
like twice in this movie, she steals beer from like in front of her parents.
Yeah. Yeah. She's like, hey, okay, I'm out here. And she just sort of discreetly grabs two beer bottles and just out the door. And Steve Carell either doesn't notice or doesn't care.
Yeah, I was like, wow, it's quite a
Yeah.
family.
And she's like to Duncan, like Pam's like, oh, why don't you two go to the beach together? And she's like, okay, keep your distance from me, because she just wants to stay, hang out with her friends. And they're literally making Duncan sit further away from him, so it's like nobody thinks they're with him, with the dorky guy.
Yeah,
And when they take off their t-shirts and they're like in their bikinis, they're like, oh, what are you looking at, perv? It's like,
yeah,
oh geez, okay.
yeah. Like Duncan is finding it very hard to be anywhere because he can't be with these new kids because they don't really seem to want him.
Right.
He doesn't really want to hang out with Peter, who, according to his mom Betty, just kind of has a weird relationship with his Star Wars dolls.
Well, also, like, Peter is significantly younger
Oh yeah, that's true.
than
He's like,
him. I mean, I don't know if they ever said how old Peter is, but there's probably at least a 3-year age difference,
yeah,
you know?
he's like 11 or something.
Yeah, I would say I'd peg him at about 11, and Duncan's 14. So
Yeah.
an 11-year-old and a 14-year-old, they probably don't have a whole lot in common. And you certainly don't want to hang out with an 11-year-old when you're 14.
No, no, no. And so yeah,
But,
and he can't really hang out in the house because Trent is there, and the
mhm,
adults are kind of doing their own thing, and we see that them hanging out with another couple, Kip and Joan, played by Rob
yes,
Corddry and Amanda Peet, and they're
right.
dancing around to Mister
Yeah, yeah.
as
Amanda
as
Peet
you do.
also, really flirty with, she's like, she's one of those people that you meet and they're kind of instantly a lot,
Yeah,
and you're like, okay, just pump the brakes a little bit,
it's like
Amanda Peet.
I just met you, lady. You don't have to be on.
Yeah,
It's like,
and like Rob Corddry's like, I'm Kip. Jonah's the woman who's grinding on you. He like literally says that, and
yeah, I
um,
guess Kip is just used to this. And it's like, all right, this is
yeah, he's married to a flirty lady, and yeah, and she's dancing to Kyrie Eleison by Mr. Mister. And again, yeah, we're okay. I can kind of get the adults jamming out to the '80s tunes, but the kids are jamming out to the '80s tunes too, which
yeah.
is kind of weird.
I mean, look, I'm sure there are some kids out there that do jam out to oldies like that, but I like again, it
Sure.
doesn't when it cut when we see that one scene where he's singing out loud, REO Speedwagon
Yeah. I
and like
can't fight this
feeling
feeling. And so
anymore.
he's singing along with passion. So it's obviously not the first time he's heard the song. This is
Yeah,
this is something on his regular playlist. And
no,
and
this is his go-to.
and then the girl next door, Susanna, she kind of calls Duncan out on it later, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that was like something my mom put on there that I don't know it." And she's like, "Well, you were singing along to it,
Yeah,
dude."
and
So,
like the fact that Suzanne even knows the song and knows the band,
mhm.
that's like no youngster knows about REO Speedwagon.
Yeah, because and nothing against the band, but they've fallen by the wayside a bit, and you only hear them
Yeah,
on the oldie stations. So
exactly. Like old fogies like
yeah,
us know about it.
exactly. But we're old,
Yes.
so Duncan, he doesn't have much to do during the day because it's this beach town. There's not a whole lot going on.
Yeah.
He's riding a girl's bike around town because I
Yeah.
guess it's like the hand me down from Trent's daughter.
Yeah. He finds like a girl's bike in the garage, and he figures like, well, I can't stay here, so I'm gonna go
Hmm.
exploring. And then he bikes his way to the pizzeria and gets a lemonade, and that's where he meets some of the employees that work at the local water park.
Right, and like again, he meets Sam Rockwell, Owen, and he's playing a Pac-Man arcade game. Again, because at this point, I'm starting to think this town is in some sort of time bubble where it is literally 1983.
It is, yeah, yeah, that is weird. Like, I mean, they really
But
should have just
maybe,
set this in the '80s.
but maybe coastal towns like this are just kind of out of date or behind the times. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've even been to like the Jersey Shore, so I don't know. I don't know how these are supposed to work.
It's possible. Like, yeah, I
Yeah,
guess. But yeah, it definitely does feel like it's encapsulated in a certain little time frame of its own, which
right.
I find charming. I dig it.
It is. It is kind of charming, but you have a lot of time to kill, especially when you're spending an entire summer there. And Sam Rockwell's like pretty friendly. He's like, "Oh, hey, I'm playing Pac-Man. Never gotten past the first screen." And then he has to go back to work because his lunch break is over. And he's like, "Hey, you take over for me. Maybe you can get to that second screen. I still want to be surprised."
Yes, he likes surprise. Like, don't it says like no patterns. You cut your own path there.
Yeah, yeah. And when they show the Pac-Man screen, the the Pac-Man has eaten like maybe 6 dots, and I'm like, we saw you playing for several minutes. You had to have come close to clearing the board by now.
Continuity error.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way you could have lasted that long and only eaten 6 dots. I
Yeah.
remember Pac-Man, sir.
Yes. Come on, man. Talking some Pac-Man experts here.
You gotta move around that board to avoid those ghosts.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you remember the name of the ghosts?
Inky, Pinky, Blinky, and Clyde.
I think one was Winky, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, the first three rhymed.
Winky,
And it was,
Inky, Pinky, Blinky, and Clyde. Something like that.
but there were four total, right?
I thought there were five.
Were there five? Okay, it's been a while, so.
Winky, Pinky, Blinky, Clyde. Something like that. And I just know the last one is Clyde. Remember Clyde.
Yeah, I remember Clyde. Everybody loves Clyde.
Yeah, of course.
He's
My man.
he's the best one.
Right.
So we soon find out that Sam Rockwell's character Owen, he's working at this water park, Water Whiz, and
What a name.
Yeah, WIZZ. And Maya Rudolph is also working there as Caitlin. And I thought the movie was kind of vague whether he was her boss or she was his boss.
I thought they said he was the manager.
Yeah, but he's such a kind of like, oh, hey, I'm a happy-go-lucky guy, and he kind of shirks responsibility. So you get the feeling that Caitlin's the one who really keeps the place running.
Yeah, like I think he's the manager, and like Caitlin is like does the actual work.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I took it. And also,
Okay.
like, I mean, we alluded to it in the beginning of this podcast, but Owen played Sam Rockwell, strong Bill Murray in Meatballs vibes.
Yeah, in a good way.
In a good way, great way.
Yes.
Like I'm
Yeah.
like it's basically I'm pretty sure the directors were just like have you seen Meatballs? Be like
Yeah.
Bill Murray in Meatballs.
Do that. Do that, but like as Sam Rockwell.
And go.
Yeah, and I actually literally wrote in my notes at one point, Sam Rockwell is awesome.
Of course, he's Sam Rockwell.
He's just so fun. I just get such a kick out of that guy, especially when he's playing comedy.
Man's a delight.
Yeah. So Duncan, he starts avoiding his mom and Trent during the day. He's going hanging out at the Water Whiz Park. He bonds with Sam Rockwell. He meets some of the other employees. Like we see Jim Rash, Jim Rash has grown his hair out and grown a mustache for this part, which is
the Fu Man. He's got the whole like what's it called, like Motorhead handlebar mustache.
Yeah, it's a little handlebar. It's like curling down over the sides of the mouth a bit. And we see Matt Faxon as Rod, who's the guy at the top of the big water slides, who's like, hold, go, because you can't have the people stack on top of each other, otherwise they'll crash into each other. So it's a safety thing.
Right.
And Owen takes Duncan up and he says, I want to give my man Duncan here a special ride with benefits, which is their little code. So Nat Faxon says, oh, hey, the slide's broken, you're gonna have to step aside. And then he lets a young girl in a bikini come up, and he makes her hold for a really long time so they can check her out. So
all right.
It's we're going to show you how to secretly ogle women. And I was like, this.
See, this is an 80s. This is an 80s movie.
It seems a little dated, even though this movie's only 11 years old now. I was like, I don't know if we put this in a movie now, but
we probably couldn't.
Or at least we wouldn't present it as quite as charming as this movie presents it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh those boys, what scamps.
And Duncan's there. He's in jeans. They lend him a pair of swim trunks, and they're, hey, there's no netting in this, so you got to be careful. Like when you sit down, that you're not
Woo!
actually you know
Yeah,
giving people a free show.
yeah, balls out, balls
Yeah,
to the wall.
yeah, and so after this, they offer Owen offers Duncan a job at the water park.
Yeah, just like doing odd jobs around the place, nothing too crazy,
Hmm.
and he accepts, and it's good because he enjoys hanging out there more than he does hanging out with his family. That because like at one point,
Right.
the family, Trent and Pam and the rest of them, they all want to go out on Kip's boat because Kip has a boat,
Yeah.
and Trent makes Duncan wear a life vest. And
Yeah.
he's the only one wearing a life vest. Like no one else
Yeah,
has to
because he's
wear
not
one.
a strong swimmer. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's a like the hugest possible life vest they could find. Like,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it's like that's, and he's like, I don't want to wear it, and it's like, no, you gotta wear it, and it's like,
yeah,
just looking out for you, bud. Like when people
and
say "bud" at the end of words, they're oh,
it's a
makes me
good
angry.
asshole code. Yeah,
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 hey there, buddy. Hey, bud.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah. When people call me nicknames like that, I always get, you're covering for the fact that you don't remember my name.
hey pal, hey chief, hey sport.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So,
but yeah, so Trent's being more and more of a dick, and like as they get off the boat, I think he says things like, "Oh, hey there, buddy. Cooler's not gonna get to the car by itself. Come on now."
yeah, because like there's a nice way to ask. You'd be like, hey, Duncan, can you give me a hand with this cooler? Yay, thanks. Or, I mean, just yeah, he's already like commanding the kid around. He's not even married to Pam yet, so
Yeah,
yeah,
he's a real jackass.
it's dickery, but it's a subtle kind of dickery,
Very yes. Some people know how to do that very well, and I do
Right.
not care for it. And
Yeah.
yeah, so and as the parents kind of, it seems like the thing where the parents kind of go off and do their own thing a
Yeah,
lot of
like
time.
Betty's daughter Susanna, she at one point says, "Well, yeah, this place is like spring break for adults," and that's very true. Like we see Allison Janney's Betty, she invites herself along on the boat trip, and when they're having like a beach party, they're having like a cookout thing. At one point, we see all the adults kind of sneak off to smoke weed
Yup.
that Betty's son Charlie is selling. Like we see him holding like a bag of green stuff, and Rob Corddry's like, "Oh yeah, you're the man, dude," and then all the adults, they're like, "Oh, we'll be right back," and yeah, the implication is they're going off to go get high,
Yeah. I was like, wow,
and
wow.
these are people in their 30s and 40s.
Yeah,
Uh,
these are the adults in the
yeah,
room.
yeah, and they're like parents, and they should be like watching their kids and stuff, but
Yeah, and like there's like at one point Duncan comes down the next morning and all the adults are like eating breakfast in the kitchen. They're clearly like either hungover or still high.
mhm,
And then Duncan's like, I'm gonna go.
yeah, yeah.
Oh boy. Wow.
So while his parents are off being grossly irresponsible, Duncan goes off with Susanna to look for ghost crabs, which I guess are a thing. I don't really know what ghost crabs are, but people in the movie seem to, so that's nice.
Yeah, maybe I guess it's like a beach town thing. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, I don't know. Are they dead crabs? Or are they like is it evidence of crabs, or is it a special type of crab? I don't know, and I didn't care enough to Google it. So folks, call in, tell us what a ghost crab is.
Yes, tell us your ghost crab stories.
Yeah. But when Duncan's wandering around and he seems to be bonding with Susanna a bit more, he comes across and he sees Trent making out with Joan. So he's seeing Trent, Steve Carell, making out with Amanda Peet,
Mm.
and she says something like, "Oh, we can't do this. Like it was good for us to do this last summer, but now we can't.
Yeah, like
So
he yeah
so we know that this has been a thing for a while. Like
yeah. It seems like every summer they like hook up
hmm
in the shroud of night, as it
right.
were. And
Um,
that's not cool.
yeah, it's not cool. And now, so Duncan knows this thing that he wishes he didn't know, and he has yet another reason to hate Trent. Um, and then there's a scene at the water park where people are breakdancing on cardboard. And again, This town is in a time bubble.
It's 2013. We
It's
breakdancing.
2013. They have a boombox. They've taped cardboard onto the concrete. They are breakdancing.
No one has breakdanced since, I'm gonna say, '95
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
very maybe like in the subway, Showtime shit. But yeah,
yeah.
I haven't seen cardboard breakdancing since I was like 7.
Right, right. And I don't know if this is like some sort of meta joke by Jim Rash and Nat Faxon, or if they are just kind of out of touch with what kids do these days. But
Hey, you know what the kids like today? Boom boxes and
breakdance.
breakdancing. They're like,
They like that electric boogaloo. They got to
yeah,
save the community center.
they're like doing the worm.
So so Owen and Rod, they send Duncan over. They're like, okay, well, we got to clear this out because it's kind of a safety congestion issue. So like, you're gonna have to go tell them to stop. And Duncan's like, it's literally my first day. You're making me do this.
Like, yup.
And he goes over and he's like, hey, oh, you can't be here. And he turns off the boombox. And
Oh,
I mean, they could have at least had an iPod hooked into some speakers or something. That would have made
yeah.
more sense.
Like I remember
Um,
2013. People stopped selling boom boxes by 2013.
Right, right. I mean, and we see Duncan like listening in earbuds early in
Yeah.
the movie, so we know the technology exists here. Um, and the guys are like, "Oh, if you want to stop our music and get rid of the cardboard, you're gonna have to dance." So he
Yeah.
challenges them to a dance off,
Let me see your moves, yo.
and he does his own, bad repressed white boy moves.
Yeah.
And then a girl there who's very friendly, she kind of shows him some moves,
Yeah. Black people
which
showing him some rhythm.
right,
You know,
right.
very
Um,
yeah, like Save the Last Dance.
yeah, so we get to see a white person steal a black person's moves in real time.
No
Um,
diggity.
that's always fun.
Yeah.
And he picks it up quickly and he gets into it a bit, and they nickname him Pop and Lock.
Yeah. So he has a nickname now. Yay.
Yeah, which are terms that teenagers in 2013 know.
Dude, you're opening my eyes to this. Like, they should have just put this in the '80s. I really don't
I,
understand.
it's just something I kept noticing. I was like, wait, why is there a Pac-Man game? Why are they breakdancing? Why is he being an REO Speedway? I just kept coming back to it, and I was like, this is either a really funny meta joke, which it could be from these two, or they just didn't know what the modern equivalents of these things were.
Yeah, like even the water park, they even say hasn't been updated since the '80s, and it shows.
Right,
It's like an old rundown water park. It even shows how easy it is to get into because like when
right.
Duncan first discovers it, he just goes in through the employee entrance. They didn't have to pay anything, like
Yeah,
no
yeah, true.
security or nothing. So
Yeah, true.
like they should have just put this in the '80s.
It's just a chain link fence, and yeah.
He moseys on in, and no one harasses him or tells him to get out. It's just
Like, and and after this, after his first day, like the needle drop they have here was NXS New Sensation, which if I remember correctly is a song from like 87 or 88.
I want to say '89, but yeah, you might
Oh, that late? Okay. But
maybe
whatever. I know I was in high school when that song came out.
a new sensation.
And fun song, but again, I don't know if any kids today are listening to it. I don't know if that was diegetic music in the movie, or if it was if it was something the adults were listening to back at the house. But
I don't know. Actually, well, you are right. It is '87. My mistake.
okay.
But yeah,
Um,
still, it's like, again another song no modern day teenager would really know.
right. They introduce a subplot that kids can get stuck in the tube of the water slide when they try to go at the same time. We see some kids get jammed in the covered area of the water slide. Has that ever happened to you? Have you
Uh,
gone on water slides?
I haven't been on a water slide in a minute. That used to
Yeah.
be my jam back in the day, but
Hmm.
yeah, I haven't. I gotta go back to a water slide this summer. Yeah, it's been too long.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've done that since I was a kid, but I remember one time where I was going down a water slide and like a guy, I think bumped in. No, it was like just as I was going, the guy behind me like grabbed onto the mat I was on, so we were going down together. And then when we were going down, we ran into a guy who was stuck in the tube, and so we crashed into him, and then we were all three going down. So
Oh
it's like
shit.
something very similar than that what happened in this movie.
Oh wow. So
And
that does happen. That can happen. Like you could just send somebody else
Mhm.
down, and they can like knock the person who's wedged in free.
Yeah, something very similar to that happened to me. And like when Owen is recruiting somebody from the long line of kids, he quotes from the song "Holding Out for a Hero" from the Footloose
Yeah.
soundtrack.
He's got to be fast. He's got to be strong. He's got to be ready to fight. I need a hero.
And and then they cut to the kids, and like, none of them have any idea what he's talking about. They don't even know he's quoting from anything, and he's like, "Holding out for a hero, Footloose, Kevin Bacon, on a tractor,
Yeah. Oh, you kids know?
nothing."
Yeah. Sorry. It's not in excess new sensation.
Yeah, have you seen the remake? And none of them even seen the remake.
Yeah. Kids today, they don't know their history.
Yeah. So, but he sends this kid after him, and it frees the kids, and
Yeah, and they also talk about this thing that happened. This, I guess, this fable that happened in the water
yeah,
park where two kids went down one of the tubes, and
hmm
one of the kids passed the other kid in the
right,
tube, and
which is very tough to do because you've got somebody directly in front of your path. Like the way to do that is you they say like you go up the side of a
yeah,
tube and then you can pass somebody, which that's of course rather dangerous, and
oh, quite.
you can only do that in the closed portion where it's a full tube.
Yeah, like I don't see how that's possible I mean, I guess it's possible, but
Yeah,
I don't know, man. It seems
it's.
rough.
I mean, I think there's a reason we don't see it actually happen on camera. They just show the people going, and then they like show the outside of the tube and with some sound effects. So yeah, they kind of shot around it.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So we see Duncan kind of spending his days at this water park that his
hmm
parents are unaware of,
Yeah,
and but having the time of his life. This seems to be
yeah.
the place where like his sanctuary this summer, where he can truly
hmm
be himself and truly be kind of happy.
Yeah, and Maya Rudolph, she pops up once in a while. She's kind of the designated wet blanket character because she's kind of like, oh, and when are you going to do your job, and when are you going to grow up, and blah 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 blah,
Yeah,
and
you know how women are. Am I right,
yeah,
guys?
and Owen's very flirty with her, but she kind of doesn't want to get uh, involved with him because he doesn't really have his shit together.
No, I hear you.
And she says at one point, "This is just a job now. I wish this wasn't just a job." So it's like she kind of wants there to be more with Sam Rockwell, but
Yeah, like I think she's basically saying like I do kind of like you, but you're a man child, so
yeah,
so I can't.
yeah,
Yeah. So and then we also cut to a scene where it's raining one day and everybody's stuck indoors and Duncan's stuck
hmm
indoors with his mom and Trent. So they decide to play a game of Candyland, which quickly goes awry
yeah.
because
It is a game for young children.
exactly. But Trent is kind of being a dick about the rules, and
Oh yeah,
it's
like
like
super. Yeah, and Pam's like, yeah, what does it matter? Let them go through the gumdrop mountains.
exactly, and like yeah, and then like Pam and Trent get into it because I think at this point Pam kind of suspects something might be up.
She knows. I feel like she knows at this point,
At this
but
point, you think, yeah, I would say so.
yeah, but it's coming out as like sort of passive aggressive type
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, like they're screaming about the rules about gumdrop lane and whatnot, but it's actually about the fact that Trent might be
Yeah, it was about
instilling.
a lot more than just Candyland.
Yeah, he's somebody else is on Trent's candy cane.
Okay, yeah, if that's how
Yeah,
you want to phrase it, sure.
putting his gumdrops in somebody else's. I don't know. All right,
Okay, yeah, we get the picture.
okay.
We get the picture. All right.
He's fucking John. He's fucking. Get it?
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. All right. I'm with you now.
Uh,
We see yeah, this goes badly. We see Owen, he starts trying harder at work. We feel like, Maya Rudolph got through to him a bit. Um and Duncan strikes up more of a friendship with Susanna, the girl next door, after she follows him to the water park one day.
Yeah, because like I think at one point Suzanne notices that Duncan goes off in the day, and
Hmm.
he even asks her. I think
Yeah,
she even asks him like, "Hey, where do you go off in the middle of the day?" And he doesn't say, and
right.
then she's like, "You know what? Don't tell me. Let that be your own little place."
Yeah.
And but then at one point she's like, I'm just gonna follow him and find out where this place is.
Yeah. I'm gonna find out where he's going to on that girl's bike every day.
Exactly.
Uh,
And so Suzanne goes and meets him at the water park,
hmm.
and then they hang out all day at the water park. She shows him around. People calling him Pop and Lock. Finds out
Hmm.
he's quite popular at the water park, and it's like, oh, okay, this
Yeah,
is great.
he's kind of made a name for himself there, and he's coming out of his shell a little bit. I think there was like a montage earlier in the film where we see Duncan doing the same trick that Rod did, where he is stopping the girl in the bikini so he can check her out
Oh
and creep
yeah,
on her a bit. Um,
oh yeah.
uh, and of course, as adults are wont to do when a teenager is having their first crush, they tease Duncan and embarrass him wherever they can.
As you should.
And yeah, they're like they're talking to Duncan on the loudspeaker when he's just like 20 feet away, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, can you come over here, please? It's an
It's
emergency."
very
And
very
then
important. Very important.
it's very important, very urgent, or very urgent. And then when they're sending him back, they're like, "Yeah, yeah, Miss, we were totally talking about you the entire time."
Classic.
And but yeah, Sam Rockwell's so charming, he pulls it off.
Yeah, absolutely. So we see Duncan and Suzanne getting a little bit closer and establishing
Hmm.
a bit of a friendship, which is cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, so then they go back home, and there seems to be a little something amiss at home because
Yeah.
Trent's car is gone, and Pam and Trent's daughter Stephanie are like seem pretty upset. It seems like he just kind of took off without telling anybody anything
Yeah.
where he is.
Yeah, and we see them like at dinner at one point where she's like, "Okay, well, I guess we just might as well eat." And yeah, and we don't. And like at first, I thought, "Oh, has Trent like totally left, and we're not going to see him come back for the rest of the movie?" And then like I think it's the next night or something. We see they're having another sort of outdoor, uh, cookout type of thing, and Joan Amanda Pete comes up, and she's like dressed like Pam. She's got like the headband thing.
Oh right, yeah, because like Trent did come home like super late last night when the kids were
Right.
asleep, and then Pam confronts him about it. It's like, where were
Hmm.
you? What happened? Like I've been through this before. I just tell me what's going on because like I know what I
Right.
think I know what's going on. I just want to hear it from you. But he's like, oh no, baby, I was out with Kip on his boat and we lost track of time, girl. You know how that go.
Right, and then like later, yeah, that's right, because you just triggered a memory of something else that was said at the cookout scene
Right.
where Betty says to Kip, she's like, "Hey, I'd like to go out on your boat," and Kip is like, "Oh, hey, I'd love nothing more, but my motor's out right now, so I can't do that. I can't take anybody out." So
Yeah, he
that's
said like my boat's been out of commission for like a week.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like yeah, Duncan hears that and Pam hears that, so they're like,
Hmm.
oh okay, so this
He
is
lied to me.
yeah, he
This
fucking
and she goes, and Pam kind of goes off to be by herself, and I guess trying to deal with this new confirmation that she has. And Duncan kind of gets up and follows her, and he's like, he goes off on his mom, telling her, "You got to do something about Trent's affair with Joan." He's like
yeah, no,
yelling at her.
he makes a scene.
He makes a scene,
He's
and like,
like no, this dude's fucking her. This guy, he didn't say that, but he
yeah,
says he's sleeping with her. Do something, ma. This is bullshit.
right, yeah, stand up for yourself. And he, it's this big embarrassing scene, and then he finally just goes, "I want to be with my dad." And Trent goes, "He doesn't want you, kid," because I guess he knows a little more about what's going on with Duncan's dad than Duncan does.
Yeah, I mean, Duncan mentions his dad when he's talking to Suzanne in an earlier scene, saying like his dad's in San Diego.
Right.
He's got a new lady, who of course, is younger,
Hmm.
and but he really wants to go hang out with him because like he heard California's awesome and all that
Yeah,
jazz. And
yeah, and I think his dad had offered him some excuse like, "Oh, when my life gets a little more settled."
Yes, yeah,
We'll
exactly.
get together then, son. You know we'll
Yes,
have a good time then.
yes. Cats in the cradle,
And the
son.
cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man in the moon.
That song used to make me cry all the time when I was a kid because it's like, oh, it's so sad.
If that hits you right, yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
mean, I've heard it so many times it seems kind of trite now, but yeah, the first couple times you hear it, you're just like, oh shit, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think that was the first time I heard it. I was like, I think that's it made me aware of like time passing and mortality a
Hmm.
little bit. And I was like, oh shit.
Right.
And I don't know. Oof. Happy Father's Day,
Yeah.
everybody.
Happy Father's Day. Hope you had a good one.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're gonna have a good time then.
Yeah. Yeah. My son was just like me.
My boy was just like me.
Yeah, that's it.
God,
That's it.
that ending.
That's why I don't sing as much on the podcast as you do. I get these
Yeah,
lyrics wrong.
the way it ends, where you're like, oh, yeah, this realization that my fuck, like time flips by and I didn't spend it with my kid, and now he didn't have time to
Yeah,
spend.
I was distant,
I was
now my kid's distant to me.
like,
Oh shit.
God,
Oh shit.
God damn, shit is real.
Yeah. So anyway,
Woo!
after there's this big scene, everybody knows everybody's business. It's a whole clusterfuck. Duncan goes off by himself.
Yeah, Suzanne,
Susanna,
yeah, tries to
yeah,
console him, and then
hmm
she ends up talking about ghost crabs again, trying to make him feel better.
yeah.
Uh,
Still not explaining what the ghost crabs are. I
nope.
guess we're just supposed to know from context clues. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and then Duncan goes in to kiss her, and she's like, "Up, up, no, 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 thank
Yeah,
you."
she kind of flinches. She kind of backs away, which I think most any
Ouch.
teenage boy has been there when you try to make a move and you
Uh,
think you're feeling the vibe, and then
yeah, I
the girl's just not feeling it, and you got to be like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that's cool. That's
yeah, I wouldn't know about that. I'm all every chick I've been tonguing down. It's been all gravy for me, baby. Nothing nothing but wins.
that sounded utterly convincing.
I'm
Um,
not crying.
and and again, awkward on the girl's side too. Not not
Yeah,
saying that.
yeah. No, it's
Yeah,
awkward all around.
it's awkward all around. It's awkward to say no to somebody, and it's awkward to be said no to, and
Yeah.
especially when you're a young teenager and you haven't really figured this stuff out yet.
Oof.
You don't pick up on the signals as well.
Yeah, that'll happen when you're in your what, mid-30s, I guess, for me. Or
I'm told that's when it was supposed to have happened. Yes.
okay, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so Duncan goes back to the house. He overhears Pam and Trent talk, and I think Trent kind of comes clean. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I need to be better for us and our family." And it
Hmm.
seems like Pam is taking him back. It seems like he's worked his way back
Yeah.
into it.
He's apologizing. He's like, I'm such an asshole. Yeah. He's.
And of course, Duncan's like, "Fuck this," and he wants to like leave, but he's
Hmm.
hanging out underneath the floorboards, and he sees Pete there. Peter hangs out underneath the
Yeah.
floorboard.
Peter, Betty's son,
Yes, and then
who
Peter
has the lazy eye and he wears the eye patch because his mother is embarrassed by his lazy eye.
exactly, and so then Peter is like, "Oh, where are you going? You going somewhere? Take me with you, please." So
Yeah.
it's like, "Take me or I'll
Let's
scream."
escape this awkward situation together.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, so both Duncan and Pete, they bike on down to Water Whiz in the middle of the night,
Hmm.
and
As you do.
as you
And
do.
and as they get there, Rod, Nat Faxon's character, is there, and Duncan is about to scale the chain link fence, and Rod's like, "You could just go through the door here; it's unlocked." And they end up joining the staff party, and it's a good party for Lewis, Jim Rash's character, who's been talking. Apparently, he always talks a big game about leaving the water park, but he keeps coming back, and
Yeah, he's like one of those people at work who's like, "I'm done with this place. I am out of here. I am leaving.
mhm.
I am go." And they never leave.
Yeah, they just wimp out, and but yeah, Owen goes like, "Yeah, no, I think he's serious this time," and they have a goodbye party for Lewis, and it turns into this big squirt gun fight,
Yeah,
and
I did like Jim Rash's line there where they squirt him in the face, and he said, "My doctor said not to get water in my face." I
yeah,
don't know why that line's hilarious to me.
and yeah, there's this really nice moment with Owen where he draws Peter out because Peter's wearing this eye patch because of his lazy eye, and Owen just sort of draws him out and then convinces him to lose the eye patch, and he's like, "Wow, that's really cool. If I had that, I'd show it off all day. And yeah, it's just what the kid needs to hear. And
Yeah, like basically Owen is doing everything that the parents
mhm,
looking over these kids should be doing, just
yeah,
filling them up with some positive affirmation and
yeah, helping their
letting them.
self-esteem and not just
Yeah,
constantly tearing them down and being like, oh yeah, you're not a 6, you're a 3, which is,
yeah,
if my math is correct, that is half a 6.
yeah. I crunched the numbers, and you are correct.
Yeah. And we see more of the party. Like I said, it erupts into a big squirt gun fight. We get Sam Rockwell dancing about an hour 20 minutes in.
Yeah, my
Uh,
man's got moves.
Sam Rockwell, he has to dance in like all of his movies at some point. It's like one of his trademarks.
It's in his writer.
It's so much fun. Uh, I live to see Sam Rockwell dance, and you kind of get a nice feel for his moves. And
Absolutely.
yeah, he's doing his little Sam Rockwell
Yeah,
moves. Yeah.
yeah. He's good. I've seen like there's been. I think there's like been a month. We probably talked about this on a podcast, but there's like a
Mhm.
montage of people putting cuts together of Sam Rockwell dancing and his dance. There's a couple
Right.
times where he gets like really almost James Brown with it, like that level of good. I'm
Yeah, yeah. And I
like,
know like a couple years back he played Bob Fosse in so I think it was a TV show with Michelle Williams as Glenn
yes, yeah,
Verdon. Yeah,
yeah. It's on FX, Fosse
yeah,
Verdon.
Fosse Verdon. And he was like, "Yeah, I thought I was a bit of a huffer, and then I kind of realized what a real dancer does in my training for this." But it's just fun to see him cut a rug.
Yeah,
It warms my heart.
he has the moves like Jagger, as
Yes,
the kids say.
yes.
Absolutely. Uh,
Um,
yeah. So we see Peter and Duncan like spending the entire night at this party,
mhm.
crashing over there, and then the next morning we see Duncan's up. He doesn't want to go back home. He doesn't want to go
Yeah.
back to that whole mess. And he has this really nice heart to heart talk with Owen,
Mhm.
saying, and he basically tells Owen what Trent told him about that. He's not a 6, he's a 3. And he's like, who says that to a kid? What the fuck is wrong with them?
Yeah, and he
Like,
says, "Look, that has nothing to do with you. That's his stuff coming out. So don't pay that any mind." And he's also like, "Hey, the sun is rising. You really got to get home. You know, your
yeah,
parents have got to be worried about you."
yeah. He's not wrong. He's not.
And yeah, and again, we were reminded he has had a job for I don't know how many weeks at this resort, but we find out in a little bit he's been named Employee of the Month. So I guess he's been there at least a month.
I think so. Yeah, because like they do. We find out that they did cut. They didn't stay the entire summer because
Right. They cut it
once
short.
once Peter and Duncan finally do go back home,
Yeah.
they see that the family's packing up. They're leaving.
Hmm.
So because it makes sense because like after that night before, things are awkward in the town. So yeah, so like Trent and Steph, they're all packing up to go, and Duncan talks to his mom. He's like, "Oh wait, we're leaving with them," and they're like, "Yeah, we gotta go."
Hmm.
And it's like this is like what is what? Why are we doing that?
Yeah. Well, because they all came in Trent's car, so I guess they don't really have any choice but to all make the drive back together to
Yeah,
where were
I
they coming
guess
from? At
Albany.
Albany. Okay, so it's a long drive
Yeah,
to Cape Cod. I guess Uber isn't an option because of the time bubble.
yeah, exactly. Uber doesn't go to the 80s.
Right.
But yeah, like I mean, I guess you could say, well, that maybe they could crash at Betty's house like, but yeah, but
But
just
again, they
driving
don't have a
back.
vehicle, so
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. So like, yeah, driving back to home for 3 hours. I looked it up from Albany to Cape Cod, it's like 3 hours.
Yeah.
So it's like a 3 hour ride with some dude that was your boyfriend, or I guess still is because I guess haven't officially broken up yet,
I
but
feel
still.
like they've broken up by this point, but
I thought he kind of talked his way back in to his
I
good
don't
graces.
know. I mean, they're cutting it short because the relationship's over, right?
I see. I thought they were cutting it short because, like, now that everybody knows that Joan and Trent were fucking, now it's like kind of awkward because, like, we don't see Kip and Joan anymore. Who knows what's
Hmm.
happening to them? So,
Right.
like, it's just a big awkward vibe now in the cul-de-sac. So they're like, they just cut it short because Trent fucked up,
I
and
mean, call me old fashioned, but in my experience, when somebody's stepping out on somebody else, that's usually the end of the relationship. But
Yeah, fair
maybe I'm
enough.
being naive. I don't know. But
I don't know. Like
anyway, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I thought Trent maybe talked his way back into her good graces. That's what he was like. Oh no, baby, I'm gonna be better. That's my bad. Come on,
I don't know.
girl.
I feel like they were done, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. So
You know.
anyway, they're leaving. Susanna like kisses Duncan goodbye, which is a nice sweet moment. She's just like, "Hey, I was just really surprised the other night." So she
Yeah.
kisses him, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Betty says goodbye to them. She actually hugs Pam in a nice little moment, saying, you're an awesome person. I really like you.
Right. Yeah, because
So
they had
yeah.
just met because this was like Trent's summer home, and this is like the
Yeah.
first time he
Exactly.
brought Pam over, and she met everybody.
Yeah. So like, I think that's her way of saying like, I know Trent's a piece of shit, but like, you're a good person and you deserve better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought that was nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Which again, I thought that's something you say after somebody's broken up.
All right. Yeah. Maybe they did break up. I guess.
Yeah.
All right. All right. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Trumbull, you've talked me into it.
Okay, I made my case, but
Yeah. But yeah. So they're making their way back to Albany. They stop to get gas, and on their way to stopping to get gas, they drive past Water Whiz, and Duncan can see it from where they stop to get gas. So, in a in a sort of fit of passion, Duncan just leaves the car, runs off to Water Whiz, and he says, "Hey, where's Owen? I want Owen. I'm supposed to say goodbye. I'm leaving
right,
for
yeah,
the
because
summer."
Owen has no idea that any of this has gone down.
Right, and he said, "But I want to pass you in the tubes. I want to do it right now."
Yeah,
So yeah, so
and
he's like,
Pam follows him because her child
"Yes,
just ran off at a gas station.
of course, you got it."
And she's a slightly negligent mother, but she's not so negligent that she'll just be like, "Oh well."
He'll be back.
She's probably like, "Yeah, I should follow him, right? That's what a good mom does."
That's yeah.
I
I
think I'm gonna do that. Yeah.
I should go after my child, right?
I just
Right?
realized Tony Collette is pretty good at playing moms who are not all that great at momming. Like,
That's
there's this, The Sixth Sense,
ooh,
Knives Out.
fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah, this could be for the Tony Collette Bad Mom Film Festival.
yeah. Like I mean, I didn't see what was that horror movie that Ari Aster film? I
No
forget it.
idea.
But like I know she plays a mom in that. That's not the best mom.
Oh, okay.
Hereditary. That's it.
Hereditary. Okay, okay.
But I haven't seen it because I read the description of it. It's a horror movie, but even reading the description terrified me. So like I'm not
Ooh,
gonna watch. It's that like I've heard a lot of people say like the Ari Aster movies are really out there. They're
okay.
like
I don't think I'm familiar
like
with Ari Aster. So,
yeah he came out with Hereditary, Midsommar, which has
hmm
Florence Pugh in it, which is like kind of a horror movie, but
right. I've
it's
heard
all
of
in
it.
yeah it's all in the daytime. Like it's all like daylight horror because it takes place in like what is it, Sweden or something like that,
Hmm
where like the sun is out 24/7.
Anyway,
But anyway, I'm sorry. Way back. Let's go back to this.
yeah, we're at the tail end. So yeah, so Duncan's like, yeah, I'm you and me, bro. I'm gonna pass you in the tube. I'm gonna do that. We're doing this.
We're
That's
doing it, man.
this is my goodbye. Because
And for all
he
them,
doesn't know if he's ever going to come back to this because Trent was their whole connection to the place.
that's true. Yeah, they might not come back. That makes sense because then
Yeah,
they might see Trent again, and no one wants that.
yeah. No, nobody
Uh,
wants that.
no. So yeah, so they go do it, and like you said, Duncan's mom follows him into the water park. She just
Hmm
goes right in through the employees' entrance, and then
Yeah.
she notices like a picture of her son up there, employee of the month, pop and lock. So she's like, "What the fuck? What
Yeah.
is this?"
Yeah. He's had a job this whole time. He's been drawing a paycheck. He has a 1040. What's going on?
He filled out all this paperwork by himself. Oh, and yeah, so they run up to the top of Devil's Peak, the water slide,
Again,
and
can you get a job in 2014 when you're 14 years old without your parents' permission?
I mean, I guess they couch it in the way that he's just doing odd jobs. So
Yeah.
maybe it was more like an internship than an actual
Yeah, maybe.
job.
I mean, but we do see him getting a paycheck at one point, so some paperwork had to be
Uh,
filled out. It can't be that informal, but I don't know.
yeah, that's true.
This movie is
I don't.
based on a lie.
Yeah, let's not tell the feds about this. Let's not get the law involved. All right. All
Okay.
right.
So he tries to pass Owen on the slide. They're like going dead together, which is like this big safety issue, potential safety issue. But even Maya Rudolph as Caitlin is kind of into it,
Yeah, it's like I
because
don't
everybody
approve of
loves
this.
Duncan.
Yeah, it's like I don't approve of this, but let's go see if they can do this.
Yeah. And Duncan pulls it off. He succeeds. We don't actually see him do it, but we see, they go into the tube. They're kind of hidden from view from everyone, and then they come out the bottom, and Duncan is ahead of Owen. So he pulled it off. He did it,
He did it.
or maybe Owen helped him fake it. Who knows?
Who knows? Anything is possible.
Anything is possible. That's an exercise for the viewer, I suppose.
Right. Do you believe in miracles?
Yeah. So it's this big triumphant moment, and so he gets to end his summer prematurely on a high note.
Yeah, Owen meets his mom because, like, I think the mom did see Owen once, real quickly. Because, like, we skipped over this. At one point,
Yeah.
Owen dropped off Duncan. He gave him a ride in his car to his house, and then the
Right,
mom was.
because it's a long ways away from to the water park. He has to go across this old rickety wooden bridge, and yeah, and Owen early on he's like, "Yeah, I'll give you a ride. Come on." And and
Yeah,
and Duncan's just such a people pleaser. He's like, "Oh no, not if it's any trouble. Oh no." He says like no like three times, and and Owen's like, "Yeah, we got to work on having shorter conversations." It's like if somebody's offering to do you a nice thing, just say yes and take the
take the
win.
nice thing.
And I kind of get that. I can be like that.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Same.
yeah,
Yeah. So, but when Owen drops off Duncan at his house, Duncan's mom's like, "Hey, who's that grown man
yeah.
in the car that
He's like,
dropped you
yeah,
off?"
who is this person? He's like, oh, it's a friend who drives, because it's like, yeah, it's a grown man dropping off my 14-year-old son. What the fuck's
Yeah,
going on here?
yeah. No, you got to ask questions when that happens.
Yeah, yeah, probably more questions than Pam asked, but
Yeah, but yeah, but Owen and Pam officially meet, and Owen
uh-huh.
says, "No, you got a great kid here. Duncan's awesome.
Yeah,
Everybody here loves him." And of course, Owen also sees Trent, and he
yeah,
doesn't say anything to Trent, but he's a bit short with him.
yeah.
And
You would like you're kind of half expecting Owen to like punch Trent out and be like, he's like, oh, you're treating this kid like shit, and they don't do that in this movie. I think to their credit, because that's not a thing that happens in real life too much.
yeah, you
Hopefully.
can't. Yeah, hopefully. But yeah. So they leave the water park. They drive off back to Albany.
Hmm.
Uh, Duncan's mom is in the front seat,
Hmm.
thinking about everything she just saw, everything that just happened. And then as they're driving, she climbs over the front seat, over where Stephanie is sitting, and gets into
Right.
the way back
Yeah.
with Duncan. Like
Yeah. So
kind of,
they have a bond that they didn't have before.
yeah, like basically showing she's gonna prioritize him more
Yeah, and that
rather.
was that was a nice kind of understated note to end the movie on, and I like the bookends of it starting on the car trip to Cape Cod, and then it ends when they're driving back to Albany. And yeah, the first time she's just letting Trent berate her son. I think she's asleep in the
Yeah,
first scene, and then
yeah. I mean, I think that's the reason why Trent does it, because like both
right,
her and Trent's daughter are fast asleep.
yeah,
So
she is
he's
metaphorically and literally asleep as the movie begins.
ooh, tell him
And at the end, she has woken up. She's gotten woke.
she woke, son.
She's gotten woke, and now she's gonna go broke. That's how it works, right?
I think so.
That's what the internet tells me.
That's what Fox News is telling me.
Right, right. Truth Social wouldn't lie to me.
That's right. I can't even hear that without laughing.
Yeah, I know. It was tough to say it without cringing. Even saying it ironically, just
Yeah, ugh.
not good.
I feel dirty. I gotta
I
take a
do
bath.
feel dirty. I'm gonna shower right after this, folks.
But yes, the way back. It's a good little movie.
It's a good movie. I wouldn't say I loved it, but I really enjoyed it. It's a sweet movie. It's funny. Sam
Yeah,
Rockwell's really charming and funny. The lead kid Liam, I thought he was really good.
yeah. Like I mean, you can't. You kind of the movie kind of feels like a bunch of other movies, like we
Hmm.
mentioned, like Adventureland.
Hmm.
Sam
Yeah.
Rockwell's like Bill Murray in Meatballs. It
Right.
has a lot of sort of the coming of age summertime movie tropes.
Yeah, it's swimming in an ocean that others have swum in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put it at like the same level of an Adventureland, but I think it's a perfectly good, entertaining movie. I gave it like 3.5 stars personally
Yeah,
out of five.
that sounds about right. Yeah, it's a nice, charming movie.
Hmm.
It's a good summertime movie for sure.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
streaming on Paramount Plus at the time of this recording, so check it out. The way back.
Check it out, y'all.
Yeah, I want to see more of Nat Faxon and Jim Rash's movies now because I haven't seen a large amount of the stuff they've done. I still need to see The Descendants
The
and
Descendants, I remember being pretty good. That's the one that sort of put them on the map.
right,
And I
right, because they
remember,
won the Oscar for best screenplay for that.
yeah, I remember that being pretty good. I remember
Yeah,
enjoying that quite a bit.
and Jim Rash had that epic moment at the Oscars where he just, without a word, he just slayed Angelina Jolie because Angelina Jolie was wearing this dress for the Oscars. It was like I think a very high slit dress, and she was sort of I believe what they call making a leg. She was like she had her leg to the side to kind of show off her leg and the slit. And then when Jim Rash got up to win his Oscar, he just mimicked her stance. He didn't even say anything, but it was just hilarious. Love
Yeah,
it.
I
He
think I
just he
remember.
just made fun of the pretension of her without a word
Yeah, like I remember a lot of people making fun of that leg stance thing for a while.
because it was such an artificial stance, and it was such yeah. I think when you're doing something like that, it deserves to be poked fun at.
It deserves mockery.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
But yeah.
she's a millionaire movie star. She can probably take it.
Yeah, if you can't make fun of millionaire movie stars, who can you make fun of, Pete?
No one,
No one. I
not
don't
a
want to live in that world.
goddamn person. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, so The Way Back, solid film. Check it out, guys.
yeah. So let's see. There's a little bit of fun trivia on the IMDb. It says, in order to save money, the filmmakers decided not to get trailers for the actors and instead decided to rent a house for the duration of the filming, approximately 6 weeks, where the actors could go between takes. The house turned into a popular hangout spot for the cast and crew, and they would often go to the house even during weekends or days off.
Ooh, that sounds
Yeah.
pretty cool. It's kind of
Yeah.
like what they did with Caddyshack, right? Didn't they rent houses down there or
I
something?
don't
Or
remember that. Maybe. Yeah.
do cocaine?
Probably. It was
Okay.
Caddyshack. It was 1980, so yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
There's other neat bits of trivia. It says while location scouting, Jim Rash would take pictures of beach houses that he felt would be good to film in. During filming, he discovered that one of the houses he photographed belonged to Steve Carell's in-laws. And
Oh,
yeah,
neat.
and it says Steve Carell initially turned the movie down because he and his family go on vacation to his home state in Massachusetts every summer. However, it was later discovered that the location of the film shoot was a short drive away from where Carell and his family vacationed, and therefore he was able to accept the role. And they shot him out in like 10 days. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, so that's pretty
That's
cool.
cool. Yeah, just like pop in and pop out
Hmm.
and do a movie and you're home before supper.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty good for Steve Carell. And there's a few neat bits of trivia involving Maya Rudolph that I found. It says the name of the water park that Duncan works at is Water Whiz. In the movie Grown Ups from 2010, the water park the families go to is also named Water Whiz. Both films star Maya Rudolph and were filmed in the same park. So
Oh,
I mean, maybe
interesting.
we should try to cover Grown Ups at some point this summer so we can see more of this same water park.
Maybe, yeah, we could see how it matches up.
Yeah, and then it says Maya Rudolph was pregnant with her fourth child while filming. It is quite noticeable during the farewell party for Lewis.
Oh, I don't think I'm so bad at noticing like when women are pregnant in movies. Like I didn't even
Yeah,
notice that.
I don't know what this person who submitted this considers quite noticeable. I think it went over my head, but okay.
Yeah, it is quite. Yes, sound like a little catty when you say that. It's quite
Yeah,
noticeable.
yeah, I don't. There's got to be a better way to phrase that, right?
Yeah, show a little tact, you motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's just she is great with child.
What was that voice?
I don't know.
That's great.
I'm just trying to find a more flattering way to say that.
Oh, she is great with child. Oh,
I
oh.
don't know if I I think a good rule of thumb for life is if you're at all sure, like, don't believe that a woman is pregnant until she actually tells you that she's pregnant. You
Oh,
know,
for sure,
if you
for
think she
sure.
looks pregnant, but you are not absolutely fucking positive, and you don't have confirmation from her or somebody else, don't ask them a goddamn thing.
Yeah, don't play that game, homie.
No, because that's not going to end well for you if they're not pregnant, and
No hay bueno.
maybe it won't end well for you even if they are.
No hay bueno.
Just don't acknowledge anything you see or hear
Yeah,
ever.
just keep your head down and keep it moving.
Stay inside your beach house and play Candyland.
Thank you. That's all we've ever said on this podcast. If you learn anything in this podcast, just stay indoors, play Candyland,
Yeah,
interact with no one.
occasionally record a podcast with your buddy.
Exactly. Occasionally.
But even there, you don't physically see each other.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yes, yes,
So
yes. Oh boy.
so
All right.
yeah, way back. It was pretty fun. I liked it. I would recommend it. I'd give it a
Yeah.
thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Yeah, it's a fun little movie. And guys, that's our episode. Thanks so much
Hmm.
for listening to the podcast as always. And oh, we forgot to mention. So we put out the word on Twitter about
Mm,
like if anybody had any questions, and we did hear something from someone
yes.
about about the Jim Rash doing an interview about this movie from the Community podcast.
Well, it's the Twitter account that cued us into this was the Community's Twitter account, and they said on the 6 seasons and a podcast on episode 33, there was an interview with Jim Rash, who played Dean on Community, and he talks about this movie towards the end of the podcast. And unfortunately, I did not end up having time to listen to this beforehand. But thank you so much. I'm going to listen to it now, and yeah, hopefully we didn't miss out on some cool trivia that we could have shared. But yeah, I enjoy like hearing folks talk about like what inspired a movie and all that. So I'm
Yeah.
going to check it out.
So
So
yes,
thank you to Communities and to the 6 seasons in a podcast.
absolutely. So guys, check it out. Give it a listen.
Hmm.
And as always, thanks again for listening to us on this
Hmm.
little podcast. As always, you can follow us on Twitter because we refuse to call it X at
Hmm.
SNL Nerds Show. And you can follow me, little old me, on all the social platforms at Darren Credible. That's DARIN Credible.
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter and the Instagram and the Blue Sky and that fun stuff. I'm at Trumbull Comic. That's TRUMBULL and the word comic. And you can follow our show page at SNL Nerds Show. So
Okay.
so please do those things.
Please do all those things. Why don't you?
Yeah, yeah, and
Okay.
tell your friends about the podcast. Like and retweet.
Spread the word.
You spread the word. Let people know about this fun thing that you listen to. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, if you have more suggestions of other movies we could cover over the course of this summer hiatus, we would love to hear them. I think we've decided what we are going to do for next week.
We have. We have.
Yes, we enjoyed the Margot Robbie in Whiskey Tango Foxtrot last week, so we decided to do another movie starring her, also starring Kate McKinnon from SNL.
Boom.
We're going to watch
Yes.
Bombshell,
Boom.
which is all about the sexual harassment stuff at Fox News.
Yes. Yes. Margot Robbie, Nicole Kidman, Charlize Theron, looking
Hmm.
eerily like Megyn Kelly.
I don't know what they did. But yeah, they made her look a lot like Megan Kelly, and she doesn't look like she's. I think she's wearing maybe some subtle prosthetics, or maybe it's just makeup. I don't know what they did. I want to find out about it. But yeah, they really made her look like Megan Kelly.
It
Uh,
it is eerie.
it
It's
really is. It was like,
like
ooh,
unsettling.
they
Like it was
nailed it. And
like I was like, oh Jesus, what?
yeah,
We're playing God here. What's happening?
yeah. And I think Nicole Kidman and Margot Robbie are playing composite characters or something like that. I don't know. I
Uh,
remember John Lithgow's Roger Ailes, and he's going to be good and creepy, I'm sure. So,
of course. Yeah, I think isn't Nicole Kidman playing Gretchen
oh,
in
Gretchen Carlson. Okay,
Yes.
yeah. I honestly forget it. I get all the blonde women on Fox mixed up because
Yeah, they're all, I mean,
th-
just
they're a big thing because apparently that was Roger Ailes'
kink.
little his kink. That's a good way to put it. Uh, Yeah. So
yes, yes.
we'll find out all about this. So
Yeah, Charlize Theron, Margot Robbie,
mhm.
John Lithgow as Roger Ailes. As you said, Allison Janney again's in this one.
Oh, cool. All right. Hey.
Susan, she plays Susan Estrich. We got Malcolm McDowell as Rupert Murdoch.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we're
Connie
talking.
Britton. Yeah, Connie Britton, Rob Delaney, Mark Duplass, Stephen Root. Oh shit! All right.
Stephen Root. Oh, gotta love Stephen Root. Yeah. All right.
So, yeah. So this
So
is it.
I'm looking forward to this. That's another movie from like about, I guess, 10 years back now. What year did it come out?
Oh, 2019.
Oh, 29. Oh, so it's only 5 years old. Okay. So yeah, so it's only 5 years old. I never got around to seeing this, and I'm looking forward to seeing this.
Yeah. So tune in, guys. Hear our thoughts on Bombshell. Kaboom!
Mm-hmm. So that'll be next week on the SNL Nerds. So we will see you next week for that. Until then,
Nerds out!
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.